So we're back again at Hereford Cemetery, and we've been assured by the Commonwealth War Graves that Alfred's grave is located in the sector that we were looking at. We looked at just about every grave we could for a good 2 hours and just somehow couldn't find it, and it's really frustrating. But the Commonwealth War Graves have been so helpful, and the cemetery itself, the crematorium, in helping us actually identify exactly where this headstone is. They've assured us that it isn't, you know, the very distinct white, soldier's grave that you're used to seeing with the regimental details on, and it's actually just a cross, and that's probably why we've overlooked it. You know, those graves were so well made, they've lasted so well over the 100 years, and all the details are always there, no matter what the weather's been over that 100 years. Sadly, with the crosses that are out there in stone, a lot are worn away, a lot are fallen down. But they provide us with an image of this, so this is fantastic. They can do this if you're struggling to find the grave of a family member or someone you're interested in. They've helped us down to that degree, so we've actually lined it up with some of the houses here in the background. So we're confident that it's one of these cross-shaped graves, you know, civilian almost looking gravestone. So we're going to just have a look around. We're back with Pete again to hopefully just identify it, find it, and then talk a little bit about Alfred's sacrifice. Yeah. That's not the picture, it's not a Celtic one.
No, it was just a plain stone cross.
It was upright still.
Yeah.
Florence.
It's not far wrong, It's really hard.
You see this, let's see the light that's come through now.
Yeah. It's all
Get on the page. You see that?
It could be one, couldn't it? Yeah, I think that's our man.
A.O. Barber.
Yeah,
it hasn't got
that's
his
him.
full name, has it?
No, so that's our man. That's the guy we want.
No wonder we walked past that several times.
yeah.
Not being funny, I think we probably looked at it and thought that there's no way we could even see what that says.
So it is what we'd assumed, a private family memorial, because the War Graves Commission, or Imperial War Graves Commission as it was, didn't start doing the stones until the 1920s. So it is a totally private stone.
And I reckon if they put the full name in of Alfred Oswald there, that might have appeared, because we'd probably overlooked it, thinking the name isn't long enough, almost just the initials, just to mark everything that it's been through.
You know, and in time this is going to get removed because it's sloping already, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to have one of these
happened here.
notices on.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be caring for it. It's going to get removed.
It's kind of sad in a way, but there's something to it. It's got, I don't know, because we've got this personal connection with it now.
Yeah.
It feels, it's quite humbling, isn't it? It's got this effect. It's quite a soft, you know, despite its lines, its cross, it's quite a soft appearance.
Yeah. It's odd to think that, you know, back in the 9th of August 1915, 750 men, including Alfred, and 25 officers land at Sea Beach, Suffolk Bay, and 18 weeks later there's only 130 of them that are still fit for duty, and he's obviously one of that number of wounded, sick, you know, and it's...
So it was a territorial battalion?
Yes.
Territorial the Herefords. So they weren't even expecting perhaps to be out there in 15, you know, and then the ghastly nature of the landings itself, and as you say, the numbers that were, you know, just torn down on the beaches.
Yeah.
But Alfred himself, from what we've looked into beforehand, it looks like he's either, we're confident he dies of pneumonia back here, so he's rushed out to hospital and then brought back, and he dies in hospital here, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But there are two conflicting reports. There's one where there's a wounding that certainly takes place, and there's another extract which says he dies of those wounds. But do you think it could be exposure? I mean, you've talked to me a bit about what they went through.
I mean, everybody just assumes that Gallipoli is a really hot place, but in November 1915 they had terrible weather, flooding, it turns to snow, and the Herefords are withdrawn and making their way back towards the coast, and during the night it starts to snow, and all that they can do is lay down in the sand dunes, and during the night the Royal Engineers deliver their rations. And I've read accounts of men saying that when they woke in the morning, some of the guys had already got up, started drinking the rum rations. That made them feel warm. In turn, they started to remove the clothing, hypothermia set in, and they were found frozen solid, just holding cups for rum in.
Yeah.
So
it's possible that Alfred was,
he's certainly amongst them at that time, perhaps. Yeah.
And that's where sadly he's never recovered from that.
Yeah.
And he's brought back to hospital here, isn't he? Is it Netley, I think? And,
Netley, big military hospital.
The accounts that we've seen, because we're lucky that there is a newspaper article going back, which is his obituary really, or on his funeral, talking about the family visiting him bedside. I think his sister, and it's those human touches that brings it home as to, it's a person. It's not a soldier out there dying, but their sacrifice is back here almost with their family around them. And hence this grave, almost in a weird way, a bit more resonance to us now than the Commonwealth War graves, because those almost establish it as a regimental death. Yes, they've died of wounds, it's back here, but the personal kind of nature and the family nature of this, and being here in Hereford and the family from Hereford really comes across. But what the regiment went through, you know them as well as anyone. Regional regiment, what they had to endure the illness that they may have contracted, the fevers and things that could get to them, see their end, and then also in France in late later in
1918 they find themselves in France, and they finished the war there. But a remarkable story, and he's lucky in a way. He's home, isn't he? A lot of them never got to return. He's back in Hereford where he belongs, really. So quite an end to an interesting tale of a local boy.